All right, so this is how you grow apple trees from store-bought apples. First step, take a bite.
Come join me in the chaos where the food forest thrives, in the joy of growing our hearts come alive, embracing the mess where nature takes control.
And then once you get down to the core, you kind of just break it open where you see the seeds. You can also do it with a knife, but I feel like every time I do that, I damage at least one seed. It's kind of fun to see what it looks like inside too. And then you just take the seeds out. Ooh, looks like that one's already starting to germinate. That's a good, fun sign. That little white tail that's popping out, that means it's already starting. That's not usually supposed to happen inside the fruit. That makes it easy. I could probably just plant that one right away. But anyway, just take as many seeds as you can out without damaging them. And you're probably not going to damage them with your hands. If I was using a knife, maybe. Okay, that was easy. So sometimes you'll get more, sometimes you get less. Looks like I got 5 seeds from that one apple. And then you're just gonna, I like to use printer paper. Some people use paper towels. I like this kind of paper because it doesn't get overly saturated and I get less rot. So I just fold the paper around them, put a little pocket. Simulate winter. So take your dry paper, if it's still dry, spray bottle or whatever you want. And then the boring part, you gotta wait a few months. Okay, here we are. Just kidding, it's not 2 months later. I already had these in the fridge 2 months ago. So let's open it and see what we got. The hard thing is doing this without tearing the paper. You can already see some good signs. Looks like I have 3 germinated seeds. When they get this much growth, definitely want them in the soil. Once these run out of energy, they just die. So I'm gonna put these into soil right now. This one right here that has the tiny tail, you could either leave it in the fridge a little longer, or you can put it right in the soil as well, and it should also do fine. But these two with the tails on them, with the root tail, those are definitely going in. So they're not too far though. Like if you look, you'll notice that this is all white. This is all root tail. What'll follow the root tail is going to be a embryonic leaf. And the embryonic leaf is usually shielded by the seed coat. So basically what happened is you'd see like these 2 little pretty leaves that would be inside of that seed coat, and they kind of pop out. And you've probably seen that before when you see little sprouts popping up in your yard. You see those little dicotyledons or whatever they're called, the 2 little embryonic leaves, and that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in soil. So take your favorite soil. I home make mine with, I have a friend that does stump grinding, and he always looks for a place to dump his stump grindings, and I use it for potting mix. Works great if you let it sit for 6 months or so. But anyway, make a little hole. That's probably way too much of a hole, but I just want to make sure that I don't damage that little root. And so we're gonna aim that little root into that little hole. Avoid putting the actual seed itself too deep, because like I said, that's where your little plant's gonna pop out. Hopefully that's not too far past. Usually you want to check on them more often. You don't want them to get it that far grown. Just cover that root area a little bit better. Okay. That's kind of how I like to do it when they're that far along. You want to cover up that little root pore part. But I don't know how much energy is left before it runs out of energy for that root to pop out the embryonic leaf. So I'm gonna leave that kind of close to the surface and hoping that that will work. And then of course, once you hydrate it, since now it's gonna be at room temperature, and hopefully it explodes with growth. What I'll do is once this sits for a couple hours, just so that this absorbs as much water as it wants, I'll poke some holes and let this thing drain into another cup. Just double up the cups. Very easy way to do pots if you want to nest them. You don't feel like going to the store and paying $1 or whatever a pot. I mean, you can get like 100 of these for a couple bucks. Do one more. Main thing is make sure that root's pointing the right direction. That white thing that comes out is the root, and that needs to point down. And as long as you do that, the rest of it should be able to figure itself out. Plants are pretty smart. All right, if you see right there, that's where the root, where the seed is. It's kind of resting on the surface with that root poking into the soil. If you get them earlier on, you can just bury them like the length of the seed down, if that makes sense. So since they're like 1/4 of an inch wide, you can, 1 to 2 times that diameter should be good. You can even go deeper than that, but there's no reason to. So like this guy, I could probably just bury like a 1/2 inch deep. So since this is near the surface, I'm going to look at it when it starts growing, and most likely I'm going to end up adding, another 1/4 inch of soil, just to make sure the part that needs to be under the soil is under the soil. And that's pretty much all you do. I'll do a little update in a month or so and see how these things are doing.